This is another story about betrayal, boundaries, and choosing yourself when the people who should protect you do the opposite. Her name is Alex Reed. She was 28 when her parents sent the text that finally told her everything she needed to know. Don't come to the anniversary gala. No greeting. No explanation. Just one sharp message from her mother, written like the end of a bad business deal. It's for elite guests only. You'll make people uncomfortable. The gala was for their 35th wedding anniversary, hosted at a private marina in Stamford. Black tie, champagne, old money friends. Alex sat alone in her tiny studio apartment just 3 blocks away, the hum of the city drifting through a cracked window. She could see the glow from the marina lights reflecting off the water like a celebration meant for everyone except her. She reheated leftovers she barely tasted and watched strangers laugh outside while her family toasted on a rented yacht. She told herself she was used to this. Being excluded. Being an afterthought. Still, the silence hurt more than she expected. At the exact moment the gala peaked, when the speeches would be starting, her phone rang. It was her sister Emma. "Alex," Emma said, her voice tight and shaking. "What did you do?" Alex frowned. "What are you talking about?" "Mom and Dad just saw something. They're freaking out. Everything is falling apart." Alex leaned back against the counter, the city noise suddenly distant. She already knew. The news had gone live minutes earlier. Her company had launched publicly. And with it, the truth. The truth was simple and explosive. Alex's startup, Core Value, had just been announced with a massive letter of intent valuation, making her one of the youngest women in yacht technology to break through at that level. The article didn't just celebrate the launch. It exposed something darker. Clear proof that Emma had tried to pass Alex's work off as her own inside the family business. Emma kept talking on the phone, panic bleeding into anger. "Investors are calling. The board is calling. What the hell did you do?" Alex didn't answer. She watched the notification banner fade from her screen and thought about how she got here. Before she tells that part, she would want anyone listening to know this. Stories like this aren't about revenge alone. They're about healing, clarity, and choosing truth when silence costs you everything. Alex was born into money, not flashy money but polished generational wealth. Her parents owned a yacht brokerage that had operated for decades. Their last name opened doors at marinas and clubs without introductions. The business wasn't just income, it was identity. Reputation. Legacy. Emma, 6 years older, fit that world perfectly. She knew how to smile through negotiations, how to charm wealthy clients, how to wear confidence like it was sewn into her skin. Their father brought Emma to boat shows before she was 20. Their mother introduced her as the future of the firm. Alex was different. She liked math, code, quiet rooms. She chose study over cocktail hours, computers over yachts. When she got into a top engineering program, her parents smiled for photos but didn't attend the graduation. There was a yacht launch that weekend. "Networking matters more," her mother said on the phone. Alex understood, and slowly learned where she stood. At family dinners, Alex became background noise. Conversations revolved around listings, clients, and appearances. Their father talked numbers. Their mother talked image. Emma talked deals. When Alex spoke about school or research, the room drifted away. "She does computers," their father would say as if explaining a hobby. Emma was praised for strengthening the legacy. Alex was tolerated because she didn't threaten it. Yet, she tried to help once. The company website was outdated, slow, embarrassing by modern standards. Alex rebuilt it in a week from her dorm room and showed it to her mother. "We have people for that," her mother said after barely looking. Emma laughed. "You're needed at events, not behind a screen." That was when Alex stopped trying to fit. She realized contribution only mattered if it made the family look good. Anything else was a liability. So she built quietly, independently, something no one could dismiss or take credit for. Years later, that work became Core Value, a system that could analyze yacht photos, maintenance logs, and market history to generate accurate valuations faster than any human appraiser. Alex protected it carefully. Encrypted drives, private repositories, timestamped research. When her mother finally called asking for help with innovation, Alex hesitated. The request wasn't about her. It was about saving appearances. "Just explain the tech," her mother said. "Help Emma present it." Against her better judgment, Alex agreed. setting boundaries she believed would hold. He was wrong. Emma listened closely, took notes, repeated phrases Alex had never said out loud. And slowly, Alex realized she wasn't being asked to help. She was being harvested. The line was crossed during an investor pitch. Alex sat in the back while Emma presented slides filled with Alex's ideas, her frameworks, her language, polished and stripped of attribution. One investor asked, "Who built this?" Emma smiled. "My sister helped." Helped. Afterward, Emma slid an NDA across the table. "Standard," she said. "Family protection." Alex signed, still believing family meant safety. The demands escalated. "We need the full system," Emma said weeks later. "The code. The model. Everything." "No," Alex replied. Their mother called next. "Don't make this difficult," she said. "Family doesn't sue family." Emma showed up unannounced at Alex's apartment and threatened legal action. Alex recorded everything. She listened as Emma framed theft as duty and control as legacy. That was the moment Alex understood. She wasn't family. She was a resource. So she stopped explaining and started documenting. Months later, when the article dropped during the anniversary gala, it wasn't revenge. It was proof. The fallout was immediate. Clients pulled out. The board panicked. Emma was suspended, then forced to resign. Alex blocked every number. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was peaceful. 1 year later, Alex stood in her Manhattan apartment, sunlight cutting across hardwood floors she paid for herself. Core Value had grown into a national platform. Revenue soared. Her team felt like chosen family, people who listened, credited, and respected boundaries. At a Women in Tech conference, Alex stood on stage and told the truth. "I lost my family," she said calmly, "but I found my voice." The applause lasted longer than she expected. Emma faded from the industry. The firm struggled. Her parents sent letters Alex never opened. Alex didn't celebrate their fall. She celebrated her freedom. Because healing isn't about winning. It's about no longer shrinking to survive. After the conference, Alex didn't rush back to the office. She sat alone in a quiet cafe across the street, her hands wrapped around a mug she hadn't touched. Her phone buzzed nonstop, but she ignored it. On stage, she had sounded strong. Off stage, the weight finally landed. Losing your family doesn't stop hurting just because you were right. Later that night, her phone lit up with a name she hadn't seen in months. Mark, her father. "Alex," he said when she answered, his voice low. "We need to talk." She didn't respond right away. Silence had become her safest language. "I knew something was wrong," he continued. "With Emma's presentations. I didn't stop it." "Knowing and stopping are different," Alex said quietly. "I was afraid," he admitted. "Afraid of what it would do to the firm. To your mother." Alex closed her eyes. "And what about what it did to me?" There was no answer to that. "I failed you," he finally said. "I know," Alex replied, not cruelly, just honestly. She ended the call and blocked the number. Not out of anger but clarity. Some doors don't close with a slam. They close with understanding. Cutting contact felt strange at first. Holidays passed quietly. Birthdays came and went without messages. The silence forced Alex to face memories she had buried for years. The dinners where she disappeared, the praise that never came, the way she learned to be small to keep the peace. At work, things were different. Her team debated openly, challenged her, credited each other. When Alex hesitated, her lead engineer, Sam, said, "You don't have to carry everything alone here." That sentence stayed with her. Core Value expanded carefully. Alex refused flashy shortcuts. Every contract was reviewed. Every partnership earned. She didn't want to build another empire that survived by silence and fear. One afternoon, a junior analyst asked her, "Why are you so strict about documentation?" Alex smiled faintly. "Because clarity protects people." At night, she sometimes dreamed of the marina lights, the glow, the laughter, the absence. But the dreams changed. Slowly, she stopped watching from the outside. She was building her own place in the world, one that didn't require permission. 6 months later, an email arrived from an unknown address. "I'm sorry," it read. No signature, no explanation. Alex deleted it without replying. Healing, she learned, wasn't reconciliation. It was choosing not to reopen wounds just because someone else was uncomfortable with the scar. He poured that lesson into mentoring. At meetups, young founders gathered around her after talks. "My sister wants me to add her name to my project," one woman whispered. "My parents say I owe them my idea," another said. Alex didn't give dramatic speeches. She gave practical advice. Document everything. Protect your work. Love doesn't demand ownership. Those conversations mattered more to her than headlines. They reminded her that her story wasn't just hers anymore. Emma's name surfaced once more, quietly through industry gossip. She was consulting now smaller clients, shorter contracts. No leadership roles. No trust. Alex felt no satisfaction. Just distance. Her mother sent a handwritten letter months later. "We miss you. Families heal." Alex folded it once and put it in a drawer she never opened again. Healing didn't mean returning to the place that broke her. Instead, she hosted her own gatherings. Friends. Teammates. Laughter without performance. Nobody cared about legacy. They cared about honesty. One evening, Sam raised a glass and said, "To building things that don't require us to disappear." Alex smiled fully this time. On the anniversary of the gala she hadn't been invited to, Alex walked past the same marina. The lights were dimmer. The yachts quieter. She didn't stop. Back home, she opened her laptop and reviewed a new proposal. International expansion, slow and thoughtful. She signed off, closed the screen, and looked out at the city she chose. Alex understood now what her family never did. Legacy isn't inherited. It's built, with truth, with boundaries, and with the courage to walk away. The next phase of Alex's life didn't arrive with fireworks. It came quietly through routine and discipline. Mornings started early. Coffee, code reviews, investor calls that focused on numbers instead of appearances. No one asked her to smile more or soften her tone. When she spoke, people listened. One afternoon, during a strategy meeting, the CFO, Lena, looked up from her tablet and said, "We should slow this rollout. Growth is good, but trust matters more." Alex nodded immediately. Agreed. "We don't scale at the cost of integrity." The room relaxed. That moment hit her harder than she expected. For years she had been told she was difficult, heavy, inconvenient. Here her caution was seen as leadership. Later that day, Alex caught her reflection in the office glass. She looked the same posture, same calm face, but the way she held herself had changed. She wasn't bracing anymore. She wasn't waiting to be corrected. That night, as she walked home through Manhattan streets buzzing with life, Alex realized something simple and profound. She hadn't just escaped her family's shadow. She had unlearned the version of herself that survived inside it. Still, healing wasn't linear. Some nights, the memories crept back uninvited. Her mother's voice telling her she made people uncomfortable. Emma's laugh when Alex tried to contribute. Her father's silence when it mattered most. One evening, Alex met her longtime friend Rachel for dinner. They'd known each other since college, back when Alex slept on couches and lived on instant noodles. "You ever think about calling them?" Rachel asked gently. Alex stirred her food. "I think about who I was when I was around them. And she was always apologizing for existing." Rachel nodded. "Then you already have your answer." The relief Alex felt surprised her. She wasn't cruel for choosing distance. She was honest. And honesty, she was learning, was the foundation of real peace. At work, Alex launched a mentorship program inside Core Value. It wasn't flashy. No press release. Just a commitment to support women and young engineers who came from families that didn't understand their ambition. During the first session, a junior developer named Maya hesitated before speaking. "My parents think this job is temporary," Maya said. "They keep asking when I'll do something real." Alex smiled softly. "Then let this be real here." She shared parts of her story, not the headlines, not the fallout, just the feeling of being unseen. Heads nodded around the room. After the meeting, Maya stayed behind. "How did you stop needing their approval?" Alex thought for a moment. "I didn't stop needing it," she said. "I just stopped letting that need decide my future." Maya exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for years. The yacht industry continued to shift. Firms that once dismissed Alex now asked for meetings. She declined most of them. Not out of spite but standards. When one executive said, "We were surprised you pulled this off alone," Alex replied calmly, I wasn't. That sentence became her quiet mantra. Meanwhile, news from her old world drifted in through others. Her parents sold one of their properties. The brokerage downsized. Longtime clients moved on. The legacy they protected at all costs had cracked anyway. Alex felt no satisfaction in that. Just confirmation. You cannot preserve something by sacrificing the people inside it. On a rainy Sunday afternoon, Alex sat by her window, watching the city blur into streaks of light. She opened an old notebook, one she had kept during the hardest years. Inside were early sketches of core value, half-formed ideas, doubts written in the margins. At the very back she found a sentence she had written at 22. If I ever succeed, it will be because I chose myself. Alex closed the notebook and smiled. She had chosen herself. Not loudly, not perfectly, but consistently. And that choice had changed everything. As spring settled into the city, Alex noticed how different her body felt. Her shoulders no longer stayed tense. Her sleep came easier. Even her breathing felt deeper, steadier. Trauma doesn't always announce when it leaves. Sometimes it slips out quietly when safety becomes routine. One morning, during a walk to the office, her phone buzzed with a calendar reminder she didn't recognize. Whitaker anniversary, archived. She stared at it for a moment, then deleted the reminder without ceremony. No sadness followed. Just neutrality. At work, Sam caught up to her near the elevator. You okay? Yeah, Alex said, surprised to realize it was true. Just clearing old files. Sam smiled. Best feeling there is. Alex knew then that healing wasn't about forgetting. It was about not being pulled backward by things that no longer belonged to her. Core Value signed its first international pilot that month. The team gathered around a screen as Alex walked them through the plan. We move carefully, she said. No shortcuts. No promises we can't keep. Lena raised an eyebrow. You're allergic to reckless growth. Alex laughed softly. I've seen what happens when image matters more than substance. After the meeting, Alex stayed behind, staring at the whiteboard filled with timelines and ideas. She thought about how her parents had always rushed appearances. The gala, the yacht, the optics. Here patience was power. Later that evening, an investor emailed asking if Alex planned to bring family leadership experience into the company. She replied with one sentence. This company is built on competence, not inheritance. She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. That summer, Alex returned to Stanford for a guest lecture. Walking the campus felt like stepping into an earlier version of herself. Younger, hopeful, exhausted, determined. After the talk, a student approached her. My family says I'm arrogant for wanting more, he said quietly. Alex met his eyes. Wanting more doesn't make you arrogant. It makes you honest. He nodded like he'd just been given permission to breathe. Later, Alex met her former advisor for coffee. You did something rare, her advisor said. You didn't just protect your work. You protected your identity. Alex thought about that on the flight home. Identity. For so long, hers had been defined by what she wasn't. Not charming enough, not useful enough, not right for the legacy. Now it stood on its own. Emma crossed Alex's mind less and less. When she did, it wasn't with anger. It was with a kind of distant sadness. For a woman who had been raised to believe success was ownership and love was control. Alex understood now that Emma hadn't just taken her work. She had taken what she was taught to take. That didn't excuse it. But it explained it. One evening, Alex wrote in her journal. I don't need them to understand me. I understand myself now. She closed the notebook and felt the truth settle. On the night marking 2 years since the gala, Alex hosted a small dinner at her apartment. Takeout boxes crowded the table. Laughter bounced off the walls. Someone played music too loud. At one point, Maya raised her glass. To Alex, she said. For proving you don't have to come from the right place to build the right thing. Alex felt her throat tighten. No, she said gently. You build the right place by refusing to disappear. They toasted. And in that moment, surrounded by people who chose her. Not her name, not her usefulness. Alex knew this was her real legacy. As summer deepened, Alex noticed something unexpected. Success no longer felt urgent. She still worked hard, still cared deeply, but the frantic edge was gone. She wasn't proving anything anymore. She was building because she wanted to. During a late meeting, Lena joked, You know you're allowed to enjoy this, right? Alex smiled. I'm learning. That night she stayed in the office longer than usual, not out of pressure but reflection. She thought about the girl who used to sit quietly at family dinners, shrinking herself so others could shine. That version of her would never have believed this life was possible. Alex whispered to the empty room, "You didn't imagine too much." Felt like closing a loop. An invitation arrived in her inbox a week later. A prestigious industry panel hosted in Newport. Years ago this would have felt like validation. Now Alex read it with calm curiosity. Sam leaned over her shoulder. "You going?" "Maybe," Alex said. "If the conversation is honest." She agreed on one condition. No legacy branding, no borrowed credibility, no family narratives. Just the work. On stage, a moderator asked, "What's the hardest part of leadership?" Alex answered without hesitation. "Letting go of the need to be chosen." The room went quiet. Then people nodded. Afterward, a woman approached her with tears in her eyes. "I didn't know I was allowed to stop chasing approval." Alex squeezed her hand. "You are." That fall, Alex moved again, not because she needed to but because she wanted space. The new apartment overlooked the river. Morning light spilled across her desk as she worked. She decorated slowly. No rush. No statements. Just pieces that felt like home. One evening she found an old photo tucked inside a book. A family picture from years ago. Everyone smiling on a yacht deck. Alex stood at the edge of the frame, half turned away. She studied it, then placed it back in the book and slid it onto the shelf. Not hidden. Not displayed. Just acknowledged. Core value crossed another milestone quietly. No party. No press. Just a shared email from Lena. "We're profitable across all divisions." The team reacted with emojis and congratulations. Alex sent one message in return. "Proud of us. Thank you for building this the right way." Later that day, Maya knocked on her office door. "I told my parents I'm not leaving this job," she said, smiling nervously. "I told them it matters to me." Alex stood and hugged her. "That's how it starts." Maya laughed. "You make it sound simple." "It's not," Alex replied. "But it's worth it." On a quiet Friday night, Alex sat on her balcony, the city humming below. She thought about how her story might sound to others. Dramatic, painful, triumphant. But living it had been quieter than people imagined. It was made of small choices. Boundaries held. Silence chosen over arguments. Walking away when staying meant disappearing. Alex took a deep breath and felt grounded. She wasn't healed because the past changed. She was healed because she did. Winter returned to the city softly without drama. Snow dusted the sidewalks and turned the river silver in the early mornings. Alex kept her routine simple. Work, rest, people who felt safe. One afternoon as she packed up to leave the office, Lena paused at her door. "You know," Lena said, "a lot of founders talk about culture. You actually built one." Alex smiled. "I just didn't want anyone to feel invisible here." Lena nodded. "You succeeded." That night, Alex walked home with her hands in her coat pockets, breath visible in the cold air. She realized she no longer replayed old conversations in her head. The arguments, the justifications, the wish that someone would finally understand, they had faded. Peace, she learned, wasn't loud. It didn't announce itself. It showed up when there was nothing left to prove. A final attempt came in early January. A letter slipped under her door, no return address. She recognized her mother's handwriting immediately. Neat, controlled, careful. "Families forgive," it said. "We can rebuild. The firm still needs you." Alex read it once. She didn't cry. She didn't feel angry. She folded the paper neatly and placed it in a box she labeled past. Later that evening, Sam asked casually, "Everything okay?" "Yeah," Alex said. "Just confirming something I already knew." She didn't owe anyone access to her life just because they shared her blood. Love that demands sacrifice of self isn't love. It's control. That truth had finally settled all the way in. At the next team meeting, Alex stood at the head of the table and surprised everyone. "I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations this quarter," she said. The room went still. "Not leaving," she clarified. "Just trusting what we built." She promoted from within. Delegated power. Let others lead. The company didn't fall apart. It grew stronger. Watching that happen was its own kind of healing. Proof that control wasn't necessary for stability. For the first time, Alex booked a real vacation. No laptop. No emergency contacts. Just quiet mornings and long walks. She didn't miss the chaos. She didn't miss the approval. She had finally built a life that didn't collapse when she rested. On the anniversary of Core Values launch, Alex returned to the marina one last time. Not to linger, not to look back, just to pass through. The lights were ordinary now. The docks quieter. She paused briefly, hands in her coat, and felt nothing pull at her chest. No anger. No longing. No sadness. Just closure. She turned and walked away, her footsteps steady, her future no longer tied to a place that once decided she didn't belong. That evening, Alex sat at her desk and wrote the final line in her journal. I didn't destroy a legacy. I survived it. She closed the book, turned off the light, and went to join the people waiting for her. Chosen family, shared laughter, honest connection. The story didn't end with revenge. It ended with freedom. Moral lesson. When legacy demands silence and self-erasure, choosing yourself is not betrayal, it is survival. Protect your work, set written boundaries, and remember, real success is the freedom to live without shrinking. Thanks you for watching, and please remember to tell us where you are watching from today. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe to this channel for more of this.